says in the YouTube chat. Oh my goodness. Okay, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's see, the test got, oh my goodness, there is some misinformation there. Some people saying in the YouTube chat the test is, you know, got moved to next week. Okay, so as far as that goes, let me also add some of the description. So AP Euro, you know, let's see, AP Euro SAQ clinic. Okay, so 11 p.m. Eastern. Let me go ahead and note this. I need to have a little word from our sponsor. If you're watching on YouTube and you're already watching, you can just refresh in just a second and you'll get a direct link here. So just a second, let me just give y'all some words from our sponsors. Okay, so let me just get into that. Let me make sure we're doing everything that needs to be done here. Okay, so okay, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and have a few words from our sponsors, okay? And then we'll get to the Q&A in Crowdcast. Now, if you're on YouTube, feel free to join us in Crowdcast, okay? So first of all, Romulus Euro. The Romulus Euro app is available for $2.99 in the App Store and on Google Play, okay? So as far as that goes, the App Store, Google Play, Romulus Euro is available there. So that is currently number 22 in education. It's just a little trivia app. It's a really handy thing. If you've got your phone, you can review for AP Euro, okay? So it's just something you can use tonight, tomorrow morning for $2.99. You know, it's worth the risk. Of course, POV me, right? So as far as that goes, ladies and gentlemen, also know that I will be at 9:30. I will be going to Marco Learning's YouTube channel. So let's go ahead. Let's get them to 19K. They're 18.8 right now. Let's go ahead and get them to 19K. I want to see them at 19K before we head over there at 9:30. Now, also, MarcoLearning.com, they've got free study guides and a practice exam, okay? So free resources. You can go here and you will get a, you know, study guides or a practice test. So you can get unit study guides, practice tests. These are going to be free downloads, and so these study guides will be really helpful as you prepare tomorrow. These are just 1 or 2 pages. You go to History Guides, AP European History Study Guide Pack. You can download that from Marco Learning, and you see all kinds of great stuff there that is going to be super helpful to you as you prepare for your exam tomorrow. Now, those are free. Speaking of not free, I've got an SAQ clinic. Now, if you're on YouTube, just refresh. You'll see this in the description that I've got an AP Euro SAQ clinic that is going to start at 11 p.m. Eastern, okay? So 11 p.m. Eastern. Now, you can watch that in the morning. You can watch it live. You can watch it in the middle of the night. The AP Euro SAQ clinic, and I will paste some things in the chat, okay? So I just want to make sure that everybody's got that. But yeah, the AP Euro SAQ clinic. Now, what I'm going to be doing in this SAQ clinic is I'm going to be going over specific formats that are going to be on this digital exam, okay? So specific formats that are going to be on the digital exam. Yeah, the app is called Romulus Euro. It's available App Store and Google Play. You know, I think it's helpful, but then again, POV me. I'm the one that made the app. But it's just a little trivia app. It's not stimulus-based. It's just like, you know, which one of these was the Sun King? But it's something that reinforces those brain connections. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, just remember I will be broadcasting an AP Euro SAQ clinic where we are going to solve SAQs that are going to be on this exam, okay? So I will, you know, one of those being the spread of industrialization. One thing, there are going to be some new formats on this exam that's on the digital exam. So on the paper pencil exam, for example, what we're going to say about the paper pencil exam is that exam is an exam that's going to, you know, with the paper pencil, it's an exam that is going to, you know, have, you know, paper pencil has those SAQs where you can choose one, and they're not all of them are stimulus based. Every SAQ that you do tomorrow will be stimulus based. One of them will have a map and have questions based on that. So I'm going to be solving actual SAQs going into specific strategies for these types. Okay, so I've got here about industrialization. And so you're going to be asked questions. Now, the question, very little of it is about reading the map. Okay, so that's something to note here. And then I'll be going over a primary source SAQ. Okay, so primary source SAQs. Now, on your SAQs on a normal exam, paper pencil, it's going to have a secondary source, but also a primary source. Okay, so this is going to be something that we're going to be tackling some specific things tonight. So I would definitely advise you, if you've got, a few extra dollars lying around, come join me. But with this is a free broadcast, and we're going to go straight into y'all's questions. Okay, so as far as that goes, okay, Guillermo, I love talking about Thatcherism. Now, you know what else I love is I love getting into, I love going into Instagram and shouting out to people like Joe Mytiro and Caroline McGlynn, Abigail Hilliard, some of y'all who are following me on Instagram at Tom Ritchie. Be sure to give at Marco Learning a follow as well. Okay, so that's something that y'all want to do here. Also, Harambe Movie. This is like one of my favorite accounts at Harambe Movie. It's not coming up there, but that's one of my favorite accounts. They're actually going to make a movie about Harambe. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's something there that just note. And so as far as that goes, I'll be doing Instagram shout outs to people like Nathan Chow and Nathan Ballo and Rossi. And let's see, we've got Mark All 05 and Stanny Kella and QT Camden Scott. Thank y'all so much for the support on Instagram. So starting with that, I'll be doing Instagram shout outs here and there throughout the night, but we are going to go ahead and start off with, start at the end kind of, Cold War and Thatcherism. Okay, so when we think about the Cold War, we want to be thinking about, for example, like, let me just run in here real quick and see if I've got something on Thatcherism. Let's see. So I've actually got a Unit 9 review. Okay, so I've got a Unit 9 review. Let me see what I've got. Yes, I've got something that I think will be super helpful. I've gone into my Google Drive and I'm going to share these notes with y'all. Okay, so I've got some notes here that we've done, that I've made this recently, some Unit 9 reviews. So let me just run into the chats and make sure y'all got those. Let's see. So Unit 9 review. Okay, so that's going to be there for y'all. I've posted that Google Doc, and gosh, that chat is moving. Let's see. So then we've got here, let's see. So Unit 9. All right, Mr. Ed Saul's class. I am so glad to see Ed Saul's class here. That Ed Saul's class has been supporting me for so long. So as far as that goes, I just shared this Google Doc in the chats. And so some Unit 9 reviews here. So first of all, the Yalta Conference. Okay, what did they decide at the Yalta Conference? They would create the United Nations. Okay, they would divide Germany into zones of occupation. And then Stalin wanted a sphere of influence in Eastern Europe. So when I look at the Eastern Bloc, what we want to note here is in this, here, what we're going to note is that these are the countries in Eastern Europe that they are, they are not part of the Soviet Union. Okay, so what we'll note here is that they are not part of the Soviet Union. But as far as that goes, they're still part of Stalin's sphere of influence. And really, why did Churchill and FDR agree to this? Well, they kind of had to. I mean, the Soviets, were pretty. I mean, when you look at Soviet war casualties in both civilian and civilian and military deaths, it's like Stalin's pretty much running the table here. And so with that, the Eastern Bloc area, okay, and so with this, border changes here. So note that Yugoslavia, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, which is there between basically, the Treaty of Versailles and the fall of communism. Now it's two different countries. Poland, the Soviet-occupied zone of Germany, Romania. So these countries here are not part of the Soviet Union, but their governments are Soviet-dominated, okay? And so going from there, this is what Winston Churchill called it, the Iron Curtain. And basically that Stalin has created this sphere of influence that he is manipulating. Now, note here that you have this basically the Eastern Bloc versus Western Europe, okay? And so Western Europe, the United States, and Canada, containment. Basically, Stalin can have the Eastern Bloc, but the US and Western Europe are going to stop communism from expanding further. One of the favorites that they like to assess on here is the Marshall Plan. Doesn't mean the Marshall Plan will come up tomorrow, but, you know, it could be useful. The Marshall Plan, now this is something where the United States, a big turning point here is the United States is taking a very active role in promoting recovery in Europe. The Marshall Plan, or officially known as the European Recovery Program. So Marshall Plan stuff would be stamped here for European recovery, okay, supplied by the United States of America. All right, so European recovery. I think I've got the you know, the European, so the European Recovery Plan, which we'll think about the AP Euro Recovery Plan. Let's see who just subscribed to the AP Euro Recovery Plan. All right, Brett Cranner, what's up, Tom Ritchie on Instagram? It's Statty, LOL. We've got Caden Tran and Isabella and Gianna Maria. Hater 67795 _ Destiny 17, Keon and Mahaffey. Thank y'all so much, and Angelique for showing some love on the post. Super Cookie 8000. So European Recovery Plan. Now that was named for George C. Marshall, the Secretary of State at the time, who had been a general. Now, basically what happens here is the Marshall Plan is giving aid. Now, during the 1920s, after World War I, the United States made loans to try to stabilize the European economy, but these are not loans. This is just straight up foreign aid. Foreign aid given to West Germany, France, Britain, Italy, like any of these countries. Now, remember, Italy, a former Axis country. And so the objective here is to make sure that none of these countries turn to communism, that they know where their bread is buttered, that their bread has been buttered by the United States of America, okay? And so that's what we're seeing there, that the United States is basically taking responsibility for not only Western Europe, but also Southern Europe. You look at, Greece and Turkey. That is where the Truman Doctrine, basically, we are not allowing these countries to fall to communism. So the Marshall Plan is part of this plan. Now, also, let's remember NATO, okay? Cold War alliances, okay? So the alliance system is back, so the alliance system gets a bad rap because of World War I, but it works before it doesn't, okay? And so what we see here is that there is the alliance. On one side, you've got NATO, Western aligned countries, okay? Where you've got Western Europe, and then, of course, Greece and Turkey. Now, every country in this alliance, it is an alliance. Now, the UN, the United Nations, is not an alliance, okay? That is an international forum that takes the place of the failed League of Nations. But what we have here is we have a new alliance system that all of these countries, if the Soviet Union or anyone else attacks them, they have attacked the United States of America and will be dealt with accordingly. So that's something to note here, that is what you've got, is this system of Cold War alliances. Now, one thing that we'll note here is that so NATO expansion map. After the fall of the Soviet Union, there's been a somewhat controversial NATO expansion where the United States, or NATO rather, but NATO is basically part of the United States sphere of influence, that this is something that NATO, after the fall of the Soviet Union, that there are former Eastern Bloc countries, so former Eastern Bloc countries and even former Soviet countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, these countries that are in green, these are countries, and we see here, dark yellow and gold, that these are countries that have joined NATO more recently. And so what we see here is the United States and Western Europe, through the expansion of NATO after the fall of the Soviet Union, are expanding into the former Russian Soviet sphere of influence, okay? So that's something we see after the fall of communism, is the NATO expansion. Y'all remember Romulus Euro is available at the App Store and Google Play. $2.99, what a deal. All right, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, that basically what we want to note as well is that Europe, given that the United States is taking military responsibility, putting troops in Italy and Germany and a lot of other countries, is that World War II results in the expansion of European welfare states. And so meaning that these are like, they don't have to spend as much money on their military. And so they start investing in things like the National Health Service. Okay. So in Britain, the National Health Service, which is, basically that healthcare is provided by the government, financed through tax revenue. If you're going to the doctor, you're not going to get charged if it was a, necessary medical thing. So going from there, this is something that, is important to, is important to note there, that the National Health Service is an example. It's a specific example that would go into the expansion of welfare states, where you see that, healthcare is funded by tax dollars directly in the, in Britain. Before World War II, that was not the case. Thank you, Alyssa, Alyssa Amhay, for all of the love there. That is so much love on Instagram there. Ronan Delpech, Kate, Ashley, and Nix Cole. Okay, so, Kayla Nicole over there about to make a 5, I bet. Okay, so thank y'all so much for those, for that support on Instagram at Tom Ritchie. So with that, the Eastern Bloc. So we see the expansion of welfare states in Western Europe. The Eastern Bloc, these governments are influenced by the Soviet Union with planned economies, social welfare, and also restrictions on political speech and civil liberties. Okay, that's something that we want to note there. If you are in the Eastern Bloc, there is not press freedom, there is not freedom of speech, there is not freedom to criticize the government. You are not, liberalism is not the flavor of the week over there. And so what we'll note here is that Eastern Europe was always poorer than Western Europe. One thing that we want to note here is when we look at a Europe per capita GDP by country, okay, that we'll note here that, generally the farther west and the farther north you go, the more wealth you see here, okay? So when we look the farther west and the farther north, whereas the farther south and the farther east you're going, that is, that becomes problematic. Now, you do start to see some of these countries, like some of these former Soviet countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, are actually on the way up. Whereas, France and Britain not doing quite as well as they used to. Now, Spain and Portugal, remember that, at the beginning of this course, the wealth is in Italy. That's why they're able to afford all these statues and paintings of naked people, because they've got so much wealth because they controlled the Mediterranean trade. Now, one thing, if you go to marcolearning.com/AP Euro, you can see actually that there are, just marcolearning.com/AP Euro, some free study guides, mostly focusing on the first 2 units, okay? And so going from there, we see here that, that we've got the Catholic Reformation, the wars of religion, the age of exploration, okay? So this is something that we can see here, that contextualizing the age of exploration. Things got to, Europe through the Silk Road and the Mediterranean trade routes. And so Italy, like if we look at, Europe, medieval trade routes, okay? So, Europe, medieval trade routes. You see, I'm going all over the place, just like the exam will tomorrow, okay? So when we're looking at medieval trade routes, we are seeing here that the Mediterranean trade is very important here. The Silk Road, taking it to Constantinople, and then we see here that Venice and Genoa, these northern Italian states, are both dominating trade, okay? And so the Mediterranean trade is what matters here. So that's why Italy is front and center when we start this course, and then they're never front and center again. It's like basically they're like, that Germany unified. Oh, Italy unified too. Then, oh, Germany, they're Nazis. Well, Italy, they're not quite there, but kind of, so it's just kind of like a shake and bake thing with Germany. So with that, we know that with the age of exploration, like Italy is never going to have the same kind of prominence again. Okay, that we see later. Now, Spain and Portugal, the age of exploration brings the wealth to what we call the Atlantic states. Spain, Portugal, France, the Netherlands, and Britain. These 5 states that are basically on the Atlantic Ocean. The Netherlands kind of honorary on the Atlantic Ocean, right? But with that, these 5 states. Now, it's the Industrial Revolution. How did Spain and Portugal go from the age of exploration to not being so rich now? Well, the thing is that they missed out on industrialization. So when we look at that, for example, we see that basically by 1890, even like Russia is starting to industrialize, but Spain and Portugal really haven't gotten into it, and only northern, so basically northern Italy is starting to. But we can see here that the Industrial Revolution is responsible for, more than anything about this, northern and western Europe. The farther north, the farther west, the more prosperous you are. The farther south and the farther east, the less prosperous you are. Even going, you see here where some of these countries like, Ukraine and Moldova, that these countries are, per capita GDP very, very low. And so with this is something to, to note here about how the Industrial Revolution made a difference here. And so with this, and again, marcolearning.com/AP Euro, I'd go to Marco Learning, I'd download these, I'd download the free practice test. Again, all these study guides are going to be so useful to you in the time that you have left to prepare. So with that, going back into Unit 9. Now, remember that no civil liberties, nothing that comes along with liberalism, whether economic liberalism, nope, planned economy. Then what about political and social liberalism? Nope, government restrictions on speech expression. Also, the Hungarians in 1956 are like, you know what? We're out of here. Soviet Union's like, no, you're not. 1968 was a big year. On one hand, you've got the Prague Spring in the Eastern Bloc. Then you've got student protest in France and other Western European countries. And then the peak of Vietnam War protest in the United States. So with that, the Prague Spring, okay, what happened here is, like basically Czechoslovakia elected, a head of government, basically, elected a head of government, with, who had liberalizing tendencies. Now, so as far as that, liberalizing tendencies in what is known as the Prague Spring. Now, I never remember that guy's name, so I'm not going to ask you to remember. It starts with a D, and it's like a Czech kind of thing, and, but whatever. Okay, so if anybody's watching who's Czech, I don't mean anything, any offense by that. It's just Czech names are hard to remember. And so, with that, the Soviets responded with a Warsaw Pact invasion of Czechoslovakia. They put back into place a Soviet-friendly government. Okay, so they put a Soviet-friendly government. So with that, they put a Soviet-friendly government back into place. One day, I'm going to, formally publish these, but so far, not so much, okay? And so with this, 1968, the Prague Spring, student protest, all of that. Now, Soviet leaders after Stalin, okay? So Soviet leaders after Stalin, Khrushchev in the 1950s to early 1960s. De-Stalinization. Now, as far as what is Stalinism, okay, so Stalinism, let's see here. I'm going to open up this, this location here. And what I'm going to do here, I've got a thing here that is about Stalinism. I'm going to run over and I will tweet that. Okay, so so Twitter. I'm going to run over to my Twitter, and you don't have to have a Twitter to actually look on Twitter. But I want to make sure. Let's see here. So so let me just run in here, and I will tweet that so that y'all can pull that up on your phone at Tom Ritchie. So that's just going to be the easiest way to share it. And remember, you don't even have to have Twitter, I don't think, to look at Twitter online. So with that, let me just run in here and go ahead and post that on my Twitter. Let's see, dictatorships in World War II. Let's see, so Stalinism. Okay, so so as far as that, Stalinism, AP Euro review. Okay, so if we're looking at Stalinism, this is something basically, how did we see here that, Stalin is revising some things, okay? And the biggest things that we want to remember about Stalinism when we're thinking about the terror, okay, that Stalinism, you've got, the terror. Now, first of all, socialism in one country, rapid industrialization, collective agriculture, the cult of personality, and massive political repression, and the gulag, okay? So as far as that goes, kulaks and gulag, that is one of those things there. So kulaks and gulag, but those are things that y'all can see what I posted on Twitter, get a little more about that, okay? But as far as that goes, that Khrushchev, he had a program of de-Stalinization, basically rejecting the cult of personality and dismantling the gulag system. Now, what we want to say here, not to be confused with ending repression or giving people civil liberties, okay? So basically, they're not going to have that, but also peaceful coexistence with the West. Now, Brezhnev, the Brezhnev Doctrine, we want to connect that with the Prague Spring. That basically the Brezhnev Doctrine says, like, look, if forces that are hostile to socialism try to turn the development of some socialist country toward capitalism, then it becomes not only a problem of the country concerned, but a common problem and concern of all socialist countries, okay? And so as far as that goes, I look at the Brezhnev Doctrine as a concert of Eastern Europe, okay? That's what I refer to this as, a concert of Eastern Europe. And so as far as that goes, Brezhnev used this doctrine to, first of all, justify the Warsaw Pact invasion of Czechoslovakia, and second, to warn any other Eastern Bloc country that might get similar ideas, okay? And so then Gorbachev, okay? Now, Gorbachev, not a liberal, but believed that, look, the Soviet Union is about to collapse and it's going to need injection of liberalism. So glasnost and perestroika. Now, the way I remember these, glasnost, I think glasnost, which is openness. Now, pretend there's some glass in front of me. It's easy to do, because if there was some glass in front of me, if I had some Windex, you wouldn't even be able to tell. And I had good enough lights that won't reflect off of it, that sort of thing, which I probably don't. But glasnost, openness, I can see through it. So glasnost, the objective is to start a conversation. It's kind of like, if you've been writing DBQs all year, but your teacher never critiqued any, well, how are you going to get better at it? And so, basically Gorbachev is like, it's been decades since anybody's ever been able to criticize the government, which they couldn't do under the czars either. So basically in Russia, they've never been able to criticize the government, and the government doesn't know what's wrong because people can't do that, you see? So with that, when we're looking at this, starting a conversation, now what happens, he's like, let's allow people to criticize the government so we can improve things. But it ended up being like a disaster, okay, that basically everybody, once the floodgates were open, it was over. Now, perestroika, restructuring efforts at government reform, okay? And also, we note here that Gorbachev renounced the Brezhnev Doctrine, okay? So in 1989, we've got German reunification and the fall of the Berlin Wall, and then in 1991, the fall of the Soviet Union, okay? So with that, we'll note this here, and going from there. Now, Thatcherism, okay, context for Thatcherism, okay. Remember the adoption of the very generous European welfare states. Now, it's great, when you think about like free college, free healthcare, free this, free that, right to strike for workers and all of that. It sounds so great until your taxes are high. Regulations are out there. The government's got its hand in nearly every part of the economy. And so with that, that this is the context for Thatcherism. Now, there are a lot of people calling for more government right now in the United States. They'll keep calling for that, and there will be more government. And then there will be, all of a sudden, calls for less government. You know, people are never satisfied. I mean, that's one thing that we can think about with people. They're never satisfied. It's never enough. Either there's too much government or too little government. But what's going on here is in 78, 79, which was known as the Winter of Discontent, okay? The Winter of Discontent. Now, this is a phrase from Shakespeare. Now is the winter of our discontent. That basically labor unions, including garbage collectors and health workers, went on strike. That basically garbage just sat out on the streets, and people are just like, somebody's got to come do something about this. Well, Margaret Thatcher, so Margaret Thatcher, the leader of the Conservative Party, okay, so the leader of Britain's Conservative Party, okay, basically she becomes prime minister in 1979, actually the longest serving prime minister of the 20th century, also the first elected head of government in Europe, or first elected, not head of government, but, so the first woman, got it, okay, so woman to be elected as head of government, as a head of government. Now, note, not head of state, because there had been women as head of state, Queen, the British had Elizabeth, or Mary, Elizabeth, Victoria, and Elizabeth II, who is still the head of state over there. But she was the first woman to be elected as a head of government in European history. Now, somebody was asking about Thatcherism. Thatcherism is economic liberalism. Now, remember, when we're talking about liberalism, we're thinking of this in a European context. In the United States, people would refer to Thatcher as a conservative. She's very close to Ronald Reagan. Those of you who are seniors and you took APUSH and remember Reaganomics, that is what Europeans would call economic liberalism. So basically deregulation, privatizing industries, cracking down on labor unions, lowering taxes, staunch anti-communism, and a close partnership with the United States. Now, where she's not liberal, social conservatism, okay, so traditional families and morality. Now, that's something today's Conservative Party has kind of gotten away from. But another thing is anti-immigration, so Thatcherites believe that excessive immigration is making the UK less British. Then Euroscepticism, okay, Euroscepticism means that she's not a fan of the European Union. Now, Euroscepticism is something that's important in understanding recent trends for the theme of national and European identity. That when we're thinking about this stuff here, Euroscepticism is like either hard Euroscepticism, we should get away from the EU, soft Euroscepticism, the EU has too much power. So Eurosceptic parties tend to be anti-EU. And so with this, we've got some folks here. Thank you, Carolyn. We've got, let's see, Carolyn Joyce, who just showed a bunch of love there. Drew B. Martin, even some love for Harambe. Vigil Antjar 674 showing some love for Romulus. I appreciate that so much. Okay, thank y'all so much for that. But yes, as far as that goes, I tell you what, Carolyn showing that love for Harambe, RIP. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, the Harambe movie account, which y'all got to 328 followers. That's a great one. Now, remember, follow Marco Learning, on Instagram, and let's see if we can get Marco Learning up past 19,000. We've got enough people here to push him over that. Right now, it is 18.8. Let's get them over. Let's get them over the hump. Okay. So as far as that goes, let's go ahead. RIP Harambe. Absolutely, Nicole. Pay your respects to Harambe for good vibes. I think that's going to be, really good for you for your exam score, like good karma and such. So remember, Marco Learning's YouTube channel, where I'm going to be later. Okay. So that's going to be at 9:30. I'll be on Marco Learning's YouTube channel. So just keep that in mind. And remember that Marco Learning provides support for, I think over a dozen subjects, whereas I provide support for AP Euro as well as APUSH and AP US Government. So I do some work with Marco on that. So with this, Mr. Lloyd that brought, let's see, Bagoslavia should win. Okay, so Mr. Lloyd's class, thanks for watching. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, so as far as that goes, I'm going to note here, Luke, Revolutions of 1848. I've got a 5-video series, like a 5-part lecture series on my channel. So I'm going to refer you to that lecture series on my channel. The first one is going to OMG, it's JP. So with Harambe was literally my dad. So with this, I would say that the first part of my Revolutions of 1848 video gives you the general specifics. Next, it looks at 3 revolutions and areas, and then last, why not Britain and Russia? Okay, shout out to Miss Griffin, certainly. Mr. Goot, all right, yes, Virginia Beach in the house, Goot's class, all right. Tell him you're so proud to have a son of Poland as your teacher. All right. So with that, Euroscepticism could definitely contextualize Brexit, Riley. So when we're talking about Brexit, Euroscepticism is definitely, when we think about that for Brexit, definitely the contextualization. They are seeing Brexit in light of Euroscepticism and other recent nationalist movements. Okay, looks like Harambe Movie got some new followers. Y'all like some of their posts, and actually just to rib them a little bit, just post and say like, hey, why didn't y'all follow Tom Ritchie back? Because it's like I have brought a lot of traffic. They're great people. Eric, I'm looking forward to seeing this movie that he makes here. Anya _ Sab got that Eiffel Tower ready for that AP Euro. So great. Thank you for the love there. And Nix Cole, never forget, R.I.P. Harambe. I'm so glad to see that. Thank you so much. That is so excellent there. And Ballard's 04 and Yolissa Williams. Thank y'all so much for your support there. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, now one thing about the AP Euro SAQ Clinic, which is available crowdcast.io/Tom Ritchie. The first thing that I'm going to do is if you buy that, I'll give you a link to where you can share it with your friends who will get a link to watch it on a private YouTube, on an unlisted YouTube. So if you get this, I'm glad to share a link that you can share with your friends so that they can watch it on YouTube. Okay, so it's like you can help yourself, you can help your friends. I'm not trying to hide this under a bushel. Adam Smith, it's like, help me, I'll help you. Invisible hand, right? You see my hands? Nope. Why not? Because they are invisible. What is enlightenment, y'all? All right. So with that, the Crimean War, somebody's asking about. So I'm getting Annalise is asking a either or question. The Crimean War, there are 2 things you want to note about the Crimean War. First of all, it is a balance of power war that is, the whole situation between between 1815 and 1914 is the decline of the Ottoman Empire, the so-called sick man. There are my hands again. They're not so invisible anymore, are they? Sorry, Adam Smith. So with that, the Crimean War is, the Ottoman Empire is becoming known as the sick man of Europe. It's in a state of constant retreat. Okay, it's in a state of constant retreat. And so with that, the Crimean War is basically fought as a balance of power war. On one side, Russia's like, hey, Ottoman empires are ceding. I'm going to get me some of that. And so Britain and France are like, oh, no, you're not. Balance of power. Okay. So, so the Crimean War. Okay. So the Crimean War, just to look at that on one side, you've got Britain and France, and they're siding with the Ottoman Empire against the Russian Empire's attempt to move in. Now, Greece, of course, is going to help. The Russians against Turkey. Who would have thought? Not me. All right. So as far as that goes, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're looking at. Here, and this is a balance of power war. Okay, basically, like Russia No. And one thing that we want to note here is this marks the end, an end to the age of Metternich. I would say that the age of Metternich, the concert system, is punctuated by the revolutions of 1848 and the Crimean War, 1853 to 1856. Now, the Crimean War is not nearly as big as the Napoleonic Wars or, World War I, but it's the biggest war that happens between those wars. Okay, so as far as that goes, when we're seeing that. And so going from there, that is something that we're going to see in terms of Russia loses that war, but the Ottoman Empire continues to decline. And eventually that's going to kind of indirectly lead to World War I as Austria-Hungary is trying to stay in that power vacuum there. So going from that, the other thing about, the Crimean War is it forces modernization that basically, both in weaponry and in terms of British officers after the Crimean War no longer can purchase commissions, which, we start to see more meritocracy. Now, also, the charge of the Light Brigade. Okay, I haven't rapped yet, y'all. Y'all remind me to rap before this is over. The charge of the Light Brigade. This is Alfred Lord Tennyson, and this is about a battle in the Crimean War that basically is a cavalry charge in the middle into heavy guns, and it is totally incompetent, but it's kind of a romantic poem because it's like, somebody was really incompetent, but gosh, wasn't the bravery of these men who died in this useless charge beautiful? Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, charged for the guns he saved. Into the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. Theirs not to make reply, theirs not to reason why, theirs but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Or the 600, because someone had blundered. 600, sorry. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered, stormed out with shot and shell. Boldly they rode and well, into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. Flashed all their sabers bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabering the gunners there, charging an army while all the world wondered. Charging an army while all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the saber stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered, stormed out with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell. All that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made. All the world wondered. Honor the charge they made. Honor the Light Brigade. Noble 600. Now you see here the romantic influence here that basically, let's not focus too much on the incompetence. We saw someone had blundered, right? But the men, they're not questioning their orders. They're going in there and charging to their deaths. And it's stupid. But God, isn't it beautiful? And this is what we're looking at here. Okay, so as far as that goes, we see here that that basically the influence of romanticism. Okay, and what I'm thinking here is, now the 30 Years' War, I'm going to note here that y'all are, the 30 Years' War. What we want to note here is that the 30 Years' War, I've got a video on that. I would recommend watching the video. Don't shortcut there. Watch the video. Okay. Also, I've got a video on isms. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of the isms, okay, so let's go and take a look here. So let's see here. Okay, I can't find this, but you know what? I'll freestyle the Metternich rap. Now, the raps, the Warm Water records, they're available on my SoundCloud. Okay, so speaking of the isms, Congress of Vienna, which I've got a video about that. Okay, y'all want to hear the Metternich rap? I don't want to offend anybody by rapping. You know, if y'all don't want to hear me rap tonight, y'all just let me know. Okay, if y'all are like, you know what, we do not want to hear you rap. You're not a rapper, Richie. Also, you know what? Marco Learning's at 18.9. When Marco Learning gets past 19,000 subscribers, I will do the Metternich rap, okay? And if we can get past 19.1 for Marco Learning, then I'll do the WAP, okay? The WAP, Peter the Great and Louis the 14th, okay? So we're going to do that. All right, so with that, if y'all want to see me rap, 19,000 subscribers at Marco Learning, we'll have the Metternich rap, 19.1, WAP, okay? So with that, you know, so I got a warm water port ruling absolutely. So go subscribe. Now, can we go over important isms and art movements? Okay, now one thing I will let you know, Grace, if you go to crowdcast.com/Tom Ritchie, you will see an art review that I already did. It's a premium art review, but if you want to get into art movements, you know, go and search for the art of Euro. So that's something that I would recommend to you. The isms, I've got a video on 19th century isms on my channel, and that I think is an indispensable video. So when I think about indispensable, 30 Years War, 19th century isms, those are two videos that I would say we need to do that. All right, can we go over Gorbachev, Khrushchev, the fall of communism? Yes, we've already done that. Okay, so with that, what do I think the topic of the DDQ will be? I have no idea, but you know, the thing is, A-Push got done dirty like the first time. Did y'all hear that, like, A-Push, for early May, the first round of administration, they got a 1940 to 1970 DBQ. That was dirty, okay? That was just, so the thing is, I have no idea. Don't expect them to pull any punches, even though I know some people on the test development committee on Euro, and they're very decent people. So that's something to think about as well. But I have no idea what it can be on. Now, remember that the DBQ, it's like 1600 to 2001. So it won't be about the Renaissance or the early Reformation. All right. And Alyssa Harambe, praise Harambe, you got this. Boba and Sarah JTH on Instagram. Thank y'all so much for the Instagram love. And those of you who are like spamming, Aditz, Hanoi, and Kara, thank y'all very much. Harambe, he left us too soon. Lola, thank you. And Avery, and definitely not Jess. So with that, Nick's Cole got that taken care of for you, Boba guy, and Mean Hobo, or you know, as opposed to Nice Hobo. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea. Now let's check Marco Learning and see what's going on for Marco Learning on YouTube. Okay, have we passed the threshold? 19K. All right, here we go. And remember, all of the raps are available on my, you know, on my SoundCloud. And some of them are also like available on my Instagram. So what up, Europeans? It's the ladies' pick. Austrian Prince Clemens von Metternich, aristocracy's savior. I'm the man of the hour. Gonna carefully restore Europe's balance of power. Eating nationalists for breakfast, liberals for my dinner. Gotta be conservative if you want to be a winner. I'm the coach man of Europe, so you better hold your horses because all the great powers are about to join forces. Napoleon thought he was too big for Elba, so we threw him on a ship straight to St. Helena. Threatened European peace, so we set him adrift. Shake the French Revolution off like Taylor Swift. Come on, Talleyrand, take a seat at the table because Europe needs a France that is strong and stable. There's no need to punish France. I just want to keep order and restore the old 1791 borders. The liberals have ideas that they want to express, but I shut their mouths up when I censor the press. Stability between the within European states, it's the goal of this order that I'm trying to create. So join me in Vienna where a Congress is in session. Together we can stop the revolution from progressing. This conservative order, no, it ain't gonna fall because I build coalitions like Trump builds walls. All right, so I've got no mic to drop or whatever. Now there's a second verse. If you go to my SoundCloud, you can hear the whole thing, including the second verse there. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, remember at 19.1 for Marco. Now we've got a lot of people in here right now, and so if everybody subscribed to Marco Learning, Marco Learning would have like 800 more subscribers. Okay, so let's go ahead. If y'all want to hear WAP, let's get some more subscribers for Marco Marco learning. Remember, at 19.1, y'all get WAP. Okay. In the meantime, we're going to, and y'all get me doing a like WAP parody. Let me make sure, okay, that y'all get to hear a WAP parody featuring Louis the 14th and Peter the Great. Okay, that's really important. Okay. So as far as that goes, one thing to remember for the exam tomorrow is remember Breakfast with Richie will start at 9:30 a.m. Okay, so that's tomorrow morning. I'm going to be doing another broadcast 9:30 a.m. Okay, so that's something that's very important. Now, some of these I'm going to be telling y'all as far as going, giving y'all some tips here. Okay, so one thing, German or Italian unification. Emma, I've got a great series on my channel about German unification. My friend Paul Sargent, if you're not subscribed to Paul Sargent, you should be. Paul Sargent has a video on Italian unification. Now, one thing that I'll note is both Germany and Italy failed to unify before during the revolutions of 1848, there were failed attempts to unify Germany and Italy. Germany through liberal nationalism with the Frankfurt Parliament, with Italy through romantic nationalism from Mazzini and the Young Italy movement. Okay, so these are some things that are happening there. And let me run in here and note, remember Romulus Euros available at the App Store for $2.99 and also on Google Play, the Google Play Store. Let's see here that German and Italian unification. Okay, so let's see what I've got here that I think I might have done something. All right, so I'm going to go into an LEQ that I did one time. Actually, I just kind of did a setup there. Okay, so I'm going to make a little note here. Here's again some tutoring notes that I'm about to share in the chat. Okay, so going from there, German and Italian unification. This is going to be a Pog moment in the chat. SAQ clinic directly from, okay, Crowdcast link. Okay, so if you have the YouTube link, okay, that's something that's going to be a little bit difficult if you've got the, now I will monitor the YouTube chat, okay, but this is really not going to be so much a chat focus as me going through it, but I will monitor the YouTube chat if you bought it directly from my website. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get you into the Crowdcast, but at the same time, I will be monitoring both chats, okay, so just understand that. So with that, Pog moment coming in the chat. All right, so oh gosh, I'd love it if Matt Damon would play me a movie. All right, 19.1. Let's see if we can do 19.2 because 19.2, I'll throw another rap at you. Okay, I'll keep going. Louis the 14th, the original warm water rap. I can do that at 19.2. I can rap all night, people. Y'all can quote me on that. All right, so with that, let me go ahead and I'm posting these notes on German and Italian unification, and then as I promised, we will do the WAP parody. Okay, so with that, German and Italian unification, this is something that, if we're arguing for similarity, political unification based on common language, okay, and other elements of culture. Okay, now also after failing initially during the revolutions of 1848. Remember, these are informal tutoring notes here. Now, German unification had a much greater impact on the course of European history. Also, that Italians, so basically Italians shared the Catholic religion, okay, while Germans, Germans were, Germany, Germans, were Catholic and Protestant. Okay, so basically Germans did not have a common religion. So with this, Germans, I'll note here, were more religiously diverse. Okay, so going from there, we see here German and Italian unification were mostly similar because they formed political unions based on shared language and became increasingly more practical over time. However, German unification had a much greater effect on the future of Europe, okay, and the balance of power. Okay, so we'll note here that I've got some things here, similar differences and similarities. Okay, now another thing that I need to note here is I need to find my annotation guide. Okay, because one thing on the DBQ y'all should definitely be planning. Okay, you know, so as far as that goes on the DBQ, what you should be planning here is I've got a DBQ setup. Okay, so I've got something here that AP History DBQ annotation guide. As you're annotating the documents, I'm going to put these in the chat. So let's go ahead and let's see. So AP or AP History DBQ annotation guide. I would definitely recommend that you print up this guide and you go through your documents. Now, if you go into the Crowdcast and you go into more and you go into one of the sessions, that I've actually got a, you know, I've done the 2021 AP Euro DBQ. Okay, so that's something there, and actually I'll go find that as well. Okay, so let me run into that as well and go up into the setup and sample. So let's go ahead and I'll share this as well. So AP Euro DBQ setup and sample. Okay, so 2021 DBQ setup and sample. Okay, so as far as that goes, 2021 DBQ setup and sample. And so with that, you know, with that, I'm going to put that out there as well. Bobo Forum, Matt Bobo Forum, Fordham, sorry, Matt Bobo, Fordham Preparatory School. Thank y'all for your support. All right, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a couple things here that I want to note that we've got available to you. Now, first of all, this guide, I would say here, print this and annotate the documents as you're going through them. What's a brief summary? Argument supported. What is some hit POV cap analysis or outside evidence that this document brings to mind for you? I would print this because they're going to lock your computer. Your browser's going to be locked up. And then I would say here that you're putting your arguments into this. Okay, so that's something as well. Evidence from the document, outside evidence, and constructing your thesis. That's available to you. Now, also, that I've got the 2021 AP Euro DBQ setup and sample. So you're going to see how is it that, you know, I go through here and make this happen. Okay, so with that, I go through here and I've got essentially I've made my thesis. I've got some things here, contextualization, thesis, how I do body paragraphs, all of that's there, and I've shared all that in the chat. Restate your thesis at the end. Okay, so those are some things that I would definitely recommend. So we've talked about, you know, and again, I've got a 3-part series on German unification. Okay, so with that, you know, with that, now on the SAQs, remember I'm doing an SAQ clinic later. Okay, so the explain point on SAQs. Okay, so going into that, that identify means that you have to identify. Now remember, short answer question. Don't call it that. Call it a specific answer question. Describe just means you have to go into what it is. Explain means there's a relationship. Basically, no matter whether it says describe or explain, give it the best answer you can. Make a claim in response to the question, and then support that claim with specific evidence. How specific, Richie? As specific as possible. Again, I'll be going into that at 11 tonight. Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and get that. Now, all right, so NATO and the Warsaw Pact, we already did earlier in the broadcast, so glad that people wanted to look at that. European coal and steel community, how it led to the European Union. Basically, the European coal and steel community and the European Economic Union, you know, so, or European Economic Community, sorry, European Economic Community, EEC, and the European coal and steel community, they're basically economic unions that start in Western Europe after World War II. The European Union expands this into a political union, and also puts Europe under a common currency and a common central bank, which not every EU member gets into that. Okay, so Britain, for example, even when they were in the EU, they weren't part of the common currency, they weren't part of the euro, and they weren't part of the Schengen area. Okay, so those are two things that they weren't part of. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we've got Okay, so WAP ruling absolutely. Let me see where I can find the instrumental here. All right, so with this, ladies and gentlemen, let me just run into this warm water rap. Okay, so let's see, ruling absolutely, and I've just got to find, all I've got to do here is I've got to find, let's see, I've got to find the actual like instrumental track here. Okay, so all right, beard token, where is that? Okay, so ruling absolutely data. Okay, so ruling absolutely. Let's see, so WAP ruling absolutely MP3. Okay, let me see here. I might just have to rap along with it. All right. Said certified king. Look at all this bling. Absolutely. Nobles kissing my ring. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm out here ruling absolutely. Got no time for Huguenots. Ruling absolutely. All this sovereignty I got ruling absolutely. In the fraud, nobles tried to charge, shut them down. It wasn't hard. At Versailles, ran them. I brought it. That's like a credit card. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Let me run in here because it's been a little while since I've done it. Let me just note here. WAP. WAP. Let's see. Let me just note here. Okay. Let me just make sure I've got. Yeah, because it's a little bit confusing there to go. Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly. Okay. So you know what? Yeah, we'll go. Okay, so all right, let me just get into it, vibe with it. Okay, since y'all better hide. Rinse. I want the Huguenots to disappear on sort of mirage. At ballet, legs so lean. It's not blue jeans. Greatest king France has seen. Grand, you can call me Sun King. Peter the Great, Russian Tsar might have heard of me. Warm water port, yeah, that's what I want to see. European tour, going west, want to come with me. I'd rather die than have a noble running me. Shave that beard, show me them lips. Better grab a hammer because I'm building ships. Sailing down to Azov for a campaign. Turks couldn't hold the place after I came. I got a warm water port, ruling absolutely. Wear French fashions in my court, ruling absolutely. Yes, that's me in that book you're reading, ruling absolutely. Defeating Charles the 12th of Sweden, ruling absolutely. When it comes to kings, I ain't mediocre. In Western Europe, I'm the power broker. Let's see. You know, let me see here. Gosh, where let's see. So WAP, you know, ruling absolutely. Okay, got it. Let me run in here, and you know, I ran out of lyrics there, but let's yeah. So going from going there, let's see. Yeah. So when it comes to kings, I ain't mediocre. In Western Europe, I'm the power broker. Dutch Republic, I'm gonna run you over. With English allies, Treaty of Dover. Charles needed money. He was indebted. All those mistresses ruined his credit. Nobles with swords, I ain't sympathetic. I make new nobles, and they ain't genetic. Give me some art. Make it Baroque. Edict of Nantes. I'm a revoke. I want one king, one law, one faith. That's what I said you can quote. Once fought a war over Spanish succession. The Grand Alliance don't like my aggression. They thought they could win, but they couldn't outshine me. Go to Utrecht, and now they want to sign me. Westernizing Russia without ceasing. Tax that beard revenue I'm receiving. Orthodox Church, the religion I believe in. Straussy rebelled and Hesse started cleaving. Locked up my sis because I didn't need her. When I smash a glass, I'm a culture leader. Absolute is my demeanor. That port looks cold. Take it out the freezer. The traitors hang and my axe swang. You rebel against me. Hope you like pain. If you come to Russia, wonder whose is it? Pay my city a visit and you'll see my name. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, we out here ruling absolutely. Got no time for Huguenots, ruling absolutely. All that sovereignty we got, ruling absolutely. A patriarch there is not, ruling absolutely. Traitors' heads, watch them drop, ruling absolutely. Our wars don't stop, ruling absolutely. Made a warm water bop, ruling absolutely. Huh. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so with that, you know, thank y'all. Let's see. So with that, going from there, all right, thank y'all so much. You know, which I'm hoping next year, if some of y'all are taking a push next year, I'm really hoping next year to go back to doing some live events. Like before Corona, I actually would like travel and you know, and do live events, you know, in some major metro areas, especially in the Southeast. And I'm really hoping to get back to that. So thank you, HKKAR Hit Tennis. And so thank you so much for that. And the Rack 17. Thank y'all for the love on Instagram, Sovan.05 and Prithcock05. We've got Dan JW116, and of course, Carolyn, always showing the love here on, on Instagram. Thank you so much. For all of your support here. And Caroline Bierbauer, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And Bree, thank y'all for the love on Instagram. So going from there, ladies and gentlemen, now remember, I'm planning on going to Marco Learning's channel, Marco Learning's channel, that we're going to be there at 9:30. Okay, so let's see if we've gotten to 19.2 yet. Okay, have we gotten to 19.2 for Marco Learning? Okay, so we got to 19.1. Y'all let me know if we get to 19.2. But ladies and gentlemen, those of you subscribed to Marco Learning, I'm going to be there at 9:30. Okay, so that's going to be something to so how to DBQ, interesting. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, it's getting about shout out time. Remember, I'm going to be back at 9:30 a.m. Okay, so 9:30 p.m. Marco Learning's channel. 9:30 a.m. I'll be back here for the annual Breakfast with Richie. So remember, Romulus Euro is at the App Store, Google Play. I've got the SAQ clinic that's going to be coming up soon. So y'all go ahead, and we've got some of you have already signed into the bought into the SAQ clinic. But remember, tomorrow I'll be back with Breakfast with Richie, 9:30 p.m. Marco Learning, 9:30 a.m. back on this channel. Breakfast with Richie. If you're here on Crowdcast, I'll be here. Okay. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all so much. Head over to Marco Learning's channel, hit them up with a subscribe, and best of luck to everybody. And remember, I will be here 9:30 Eastern for Breakfast with Richie. It is always a pleasure. Oh, actually, shout outs, right? Okay, I need to do shout outs, right? So is there anybody here? Let's see. Let me note here do we have some shout outs? Mr. Kelly's class. Okay, yes. Time zone is Eastern time. Shout out to Miss Tuit, Mr. Edsall. Good luck, friends, from Mr. Good. That guy gets a shout out. Mr. Borgeson, okay, love you, chat. Let's see, I tell you what, who gets to call me Tommy Destiny? That is a bold move right there. Miss Bautista, thank you so much. And Tazik, we've got Johnson and Jackson, Miss Hearn's class. We've got Mr. Larkin, always glad for Mr. Larkin's support there. Miss Waters, thank you so much. Yeah, Miss Kaminsky's class, Kaminsky, thank you so much. She's always been a big supporter. Mr. K, Miss Fogarty. Yes, I would love to come to California, Riley, and Mr. Candace, Miss Allcoin. Let's see, what time zone? Eastern time zone. Miss Griffin, Mr. Wood, Mrs. Hatchell, Miss Ree, Shankman, and thank y'all so much. And I'll do some more shout outs tomorrow. Tommy Chan, all right, Mr. Hitchcock and Miss Doherty, Ty Tour and Miss Kwan, Mr. Larkin, we got already, Mr. Bellinger, okay, and thank y'all so much. We've got a few things here. Spotify, I'm not on Spotify, but I am on SoundCloud, okay, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, oh, let me see, Mr. Talley, Miss Marino, oh my goodness, from Miami. Tell Miss Marino hello for me. Love her. Andy Power. Oh, my goodness. Riverside, California. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Mr. Irving, Mr. Clemens. Oh, my goodness. Mr. Cameron. Thank y'all so much. Everybody that's been, that's just been so great here. Mr. Heatwove, Miss Marino, again, I tell you, love her. I'm looking forward to get back down to Miami and have some more, Cordelitos and whatever those you know, what is it? The little pastries that have the guava in them. They're so good. I love me some Miami. Okay. I will be back, Miami. Miss Laura Thompson from SoCal. Thank y'all so much. Yeah, Miss Marino, y'all tell her. Okay, tell her Mr. Ritchie, you know, appreciates that. And was that another Miss Griffin or a Mr. Griffin? Thank y'all so much. There will be more shout outs tomorrow, I promise. For now, go over to Marco Learning. And if we got them to 19.2 yet, because I'd love to do one more rap, but we can do some raps tomorrow. Okay, we'll do some more raps tomorrow and get this going. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So we will be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. and Miss Foy's students will be here as well. And again, it is always a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen.